host, Jenna, as always. Welcome back. So we are continuing our Sleepaway Camp franchise. We are going to be finishing up in the next week or so. We are down to our final two movies in the franchise. What we are talking about today, though, is the incomplete Sleepaway Camp for the Survivor. So interesting little tale behind this. I feel like a lot of you guys kind of know about this. Some of you who may not. Let me give you a little backstory for those of you who do not know the history of Sleepaway Camp 4. So this was being shot back in 1992, and unfortunately, as shooting began, they got a few shots in and everything. Double Helix, the company behind Sleepaway Camps 2 and 3, unfortunately went bankrupt, folded, and all current and future projects that were either filming or would be on the slate to be filmed were completely canceled. Unfortunately, this was one of its victims, no pun intended. But Sleepaway Camp, what the basic premise was going to be, was this young woman, Allison, who is suffering from amnesia, is slowly kind of remembering certain aspects of her past. It is made, a connection is made that she was part of, at some point, one of the sleepaway camps and ended up obviously surviving, hence the survivor title in this. It is unfortunate that this wasn't completed. I think this movie really could have gone some interesting directions and everything. But yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get that. And by the way, this movie, like I said, even though it's an incomplete movie, I know that this was initially released way back in the day, like 2002, I believe, with the Best Buy exclusive Survival Kit DVD box set of all the Sleepaway Camp movies and everything. So this is a nice little addition to it. Now here's the thing, I normally with a movie like this, I would be ripping it apart, but since it's an incomplete movie, I cannot really fairly rip into this movie with what we have, with the kind of makeshift high school project of like, hey, let's try and finish this film. Because honestly, mainly what most of this is, I mean, it has kind of like the a little bit of what they shot for this movie in here, tied in with pretty much the rest of it is all like stock footage and outtakes and other clips and stuff from the previous three movies and everything. Kind of like what they did with, I know they've done this many times. One of the first movies that comes to mind is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where literally the first 45 minutes of that film is literally a retelling of the first film. That one I will rip into because rightfully so, that deserves to be like ripped into. That movie I feel like was just like a laziness on their part to try and make a movie. This one, like I said, given the circumstances that it was not even, they never even were able to finish this movie, I can't really, call it laziness or anything, because they tried to do at least something and give at least a little recognition for this movie. But yeah, it's unfortunate that it wasn't finished. I really wish they would have, whether another company would have just been like, oh, hey, you know what, you guys went under, let's go ahead and just carry on the project and finish it for you guys. Like, I wish someone would have done that, even if it was delayed like a year or something. I think it would have been interesting to see what they would have done, because as I said, I think either in my part 3 or part 2 for my franchise review, that I give this franchise a bit of credit, because with each movie, even though it's kind of basically sort of the same thing of, okay, Angela's going around killing all these kids and everything, at least they tried to kind of change it up a little bit, change up like the scenario a little bit. Like, for example, the first one, she's a camper and everything. Second one, we see her as a counselor at a camp. And then the third one, we see her just take over the identity of one of these underprivileged, bad side of the street type of kids that is going to this camp that is this um, sort of like test and everything to just see how bringing two groups together, two different groups together, and just seeing what they can see what they have in common and everything. At least each one's kind of like a little bit different, trying to tell the story of Angela, but giving the character a new sort of setup and everything, so it's not literally like Friday 13th, where it's almost literally just like the same sort of basic generic storyline each time, and Jason just keeps showing up. This one, I think, would have been interesting. Some of the things, something that I would have kind of liked to have seen, and I think maybe they would have. I mean, I could be wrong, but as I was kind of vaguely watching this, I think it would have been interesting if Allison, our girl who has amnesia and is having these, with therapy and everything, is having these flashbacks of the, horrific crimes and everything at camp and everything. I think it would have been interesting if Allison, we come to find out, is actually Angela. I mean, that seems like it would have made sense, like, why has it been a few years between, like, the third and this one? Where's Angela been and everything? It would have been kind of interesting if, after the end of part 3, like, after she kills the 2 paramedics, maybe the ambulance got into a wreck or something, she hits her head, and, boom, this is the reason why she's got amnesia, and now, with more therapy, certain things are coming up and everything. And there's even a scene in here, actually, with this Allison character and a cop, and they kind of start, like, making out a little bit, and they kind of cut to the first one, the end of the first, or one of the scenes from the first one where Angela and Paul are making out and everything. So I think that's kind of where I was thinking, like, ooh, to see maybe this being Angela and seeing what they would have done with it. I think it would have been cool. I really do. This is one of those few instances where if it was done correctly, if someone were kind of to take on this original script, or even maybe kind of work with the original script and give Sleepaway Camp 4 a proper film and everything, shoot it and everything, give it a proper release and everything, I think it could turn out pretty okay. I would be into seeing that. I would. I might be one of the only ones to maybe want to see that, but I think it'd be pretty decent. And honestly, too, like, if you guys really are kind of thinking of checking this one out, honestly, don't even bother with it. And honestly, don't even bother, like, picking it up unless if you're really kind of a hardcore fan of the franchise, sort of as myself or as Jen over at Jen's Reviews from the Grave is. Honestly, don't waste your money if you're kind of like, oh, I need it in my collection. Honestly, if you're not that much of a fan of the franchise, if you're just kind of like, oh yeah, they're fun or whatever, but not that into them, definitely skip this one, you guys. I mean, I'd hate to say that, but like I said, given the circumstances, incomplete movie with a bunch of stock footage that you literally could just go and watch the other 3 movies, it's not worth it. Like I said, I just really kind of wanted to pick it up to have in my collection. Thought it was something cool to have in my collection since I do love the franchise so much, but yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts and everything, or what you would have liked to have seen in Sleepaway Camp 4 if they would have actually made this movie, if Double Helix didn't actually fold, or if another company would have actually kind of taken on the project. Let me know what you guys think. What would you have liked to have seen in the franchise, or I should say in this movie and everything? Leave it in the comments. Till next time, as always, you guys, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.